Hello, welcome to Read Aloud Revived. I am Winnie Reitnouer, the chairman, and I'm delighted to present to you the November edition of our wonderful program brought to us through the Life Enrichment program at Villa Gardens. We're very grateful to that. These are very interesting times now. Rather than meeting on the last Thursday of each month in Villa Vista, we now tape individually in one's own apartment with the reader sitting in his or her favorite chair, favorite position, comfortable reading whatever he or she has selected. And I find it very interesting this time that our three readers on their own have chosen selections that have a common binding thread, which you will see revealed as you listen. I think it could be the fact that we all have become more contemplative and reflective during these times of pandemics and sequestering and quarantining, and are finding comfort in a particular style of literature. Some for all ages to be enjoyed. We have Mary Gray and Sue Peace and Roberta Lawrence reading for us because they volunteered. This is a volunteer production, and I would like to see anyone watching this doing the very same thing. Just call me. You can write your name on the board, the sign-up sheet on our information center, and I will call you. Or you can call me first for more information. So sit back and relax, courtesy of YouTube, and enjoy seeing this production today, the readings from something they like very much and hope that you will also like. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, I'm Mary Gray. Robert and I have been here at Villa for 2 years. Robert is a retired law professor. We met at Christmas at church. I taught 7th grade for a few years. Then I did other things, like a savings and loan where I did data entry, similar to typing. Finally, I worked at Pizza Hut for 15 years. Once I made a huge salad this big for a group of teachers that came to eat pizza. Today I will read 3 poems. 2 are written by Robert Frost. 3 of my cousins are named Frost, and one named his son Robert Frost. The book I'm reading from is called The Treasure Chest and is edited by Charles L. Wallace. There are over 1,000 poems in quotation. I begin with Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen groundswell under it and spills the upper boulders in the sun and makes gaps even 2 can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I've come after them and made repair, where they have left not 1 stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding, to please the yelping dogs. The gaps, I mean. No one has seen them made or heard them made, but it's spring, mending time, we find them there. I let my neighbor know beyond the hill, and on a day we meet to walk the line, and set the wall between us once again. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each, and some are loaves and some so nearly balls, we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game, one on a side. It comes to little more. There, where it is, we do not need the wall. He is all pine and I'm apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines. I tell him, he only says, good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But here there are no cows. Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in or walling out, and to whom I was like to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down, I could say, elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there, bringing a stone grasped firmly by the top, in each hand like an old stone savage armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only, and the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well. He says again, good fences make good neighbors. The second poem is Stepping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Stopping by woods on a snowy evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. The third poem is by Alfred Tennyson, and it is not titled. Flower in the crannied wall, I pluck you out of the crannies, I hold you root and all in my hand, little flower, but if I could understand what you are, root and all in all, I should know what God and man is. The last one is called Thanksgiving. We thank thee, Father, for the care that did not come to try us, the burden we did not bear, the trouble that passed by us, the task we did not fail to do, the hurt we did not cherish, the friend who did not prove untrue, the joy that did not perish. We thank thee for the blinding storm that did not lose its swelling, and for the sudden blight of harm that came not nigh our dwelling. We thank thee for the dart unsped, the bitter word unspoken, the grave unmade, the tear unshed, the heart tie still unbroken. Thank you. I hope to get to know y'all better. And another read aloud. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi. My name's Roberta Lawrence. Some of you know me and some of you don't. I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, and I went to school there, and then I went to Wisconsin, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and got my degree in history a long time ago, a very long time ago. And I went back to the East Coast and worked for an insurance company, because that's what I could get then. And it was fine for about a year, and then I decided to go back to school. And I wanted to go to architecture school, so I thought maybe I'd go back to New Haven and apply to Yale. I applied to Yale. They said, well, your portfolio is not quite there, so, which means it wasn't really good enough for them then. We want you to come for a special pre-architecture year and study art and sculpture, etc., and do a new portfolio to get in, which is what my path was, and I did. And I did my master's in architecture at Yale, and then I got in my car and went to Houston. Because Houston had all these giant cranes on the skyline, and we had nothing going on the East Coast in those days. And I was in Houston for 10 or 12 years, and then St. Louis, where I worked, and then I moved to Princeton, where I also worked as an architect for companies, for architectural firms. And then I decided to go to New York. So I worked in New York for a wonderful firm, a large firm. We were working on a very large hospital in the city. And it was the last firm to have work in New York. It was the late 80s, 89, 90, something like that. And when that project was finished, I couldn't find a job in New York. So I got in the car and I came to California. And here I am. I worked for a firm in Orange County for a while, and I had my own work for a while, a very short amount of time, and then I was lucky enough to get a job at Parsons. And Parsons sent me on wonderful projects, put me on great projects that I enjoyed. It was a very great experience for 20 years. And then I retired, and here I am. So what I'm going to read today is from this book. It's very heavy. It's heavier than it needs to be. It's called Modern American Poetry and Modern British Poetry, and it's edited by Louis Untermeyer, and it was originally copyrighted in 1919, but this book was printed in 1958. So the most recent copyright in here. So, now for Robert Frost. When I was a little girl, I was about 9, I had to memorize Mending Wall. I've forgotten a lot of it. I've never forgotten that experience. All the 4th graders were standing in a little line, all of us reciting it, trying to do it together. So, something there is that doesn't love a wall, that sends the frozen groundswell under it and spills the upper boulders in the sun, and makes gaps even two can pass abreast. The work of hunters is another thing. I have come after them and made repairs, where they have left not one stone on a stone, but they would have the rabbit out of hiding to please the yelping dogs. The gaps, I mean, no one has seen them made or heard them made, but at spring mending time, we find them there. I let my neighbor know, beyond the hill, and on a day we meet and walk the line. We keep the wall between us as we go, to each the boulders that have fallen to each, and some are leaves, some are loaves, and some so nearly balls we have to use a spell to make them balance. Stay where you are until our backs are turned. That spell. We wear our fingers rough with handling them. Oh, just another kind of outdoor game, one on a side. It comes to little more. There where it is we do not need the wall. He is all pine and I am apple orchard. My apple trees will never get across and eat the cones under his pines, I tell him. He only says, good fences make good neighbors. Spring is the mischief in me, and I wonder if I could put a notion in his head. Why do they make good neighbors? Isn't it where there are cows? But there are no cows here. Before I built a wall, I'd ask to know what I was walling in and walling out, and to whom I was likely to give offense. Something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. I could say elves to him, but it's not elves exactly, and I'd rather he said it for himself. I see him there bringing a stone, grasped firmly by the top in each hand, like an old stone savage armed. He moves in darkness, as it seems to me, not of woods only, and the shade of trees. He will not go behind his father's saying, and he likes having thought of it so well, he says it again, good fences make good neighbors. I'll always remember that line. I remember it my whole life, almost 70 years. That is, since I was 9. Okay, I have 2 more. This next one is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, also Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and the frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Sorry, and miles to go before I sleep. This is from my childhood, It's... And here comes another tearjerker. This one always gets me. It's called The Road Not Taken. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that passing there, had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves to no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on way, I doubted I would ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. That's it.
Hello, I'm Sue Peace, and I've lived here at Villa Gardens for 9 years. And today I'm going to read you one of my favorite stories. Most of my favorite stories are children's books because I read to children for many, many years. But this book, as many others are books for a child of any age. And it was written, retold by Arlene Mosel, from an ancient Chinese folk tale. And it was illustrated by Blair Lint. And I will be reading it. And I hope as I read this, that perhaps you will enjoy it and think about something you like very much that you would like to share with us here at Villa Gardens. It would be so nice. If you can, do that possibly, think about it. Get in touch with Catherine Custodio in Activities or Winnie Reitnouer. Either one would be very happy to take your name, and you can write downstairs, put your name there too, to join us, to share with our fellowship of Villa Gardens people. Anyway, Tiki Tiki Tembo, No Sarembo, Karigari Bucci, Pip Peri Pembo is the name of the story. Let's see. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, it was the custom of all the fathers and mothers in China to give their first and honored sons long, great names. But second sons were given hardly any name at all. In a small mountain village, there lived a mother who had 2 little sons. Her second son she called Chang, which meant little or nothing. But her first and honored son she called Tiki Tiki Tembo, No Sarembo, Chari Bari Ruchi, Pip Pedi Pembo, which meant the most wonderful thing in the whole wide world. Every morning, the mother went to wash in a little stream near her home. The 2 boys always went chattering along with her. On the bank was an old well. "Don't go near the well," warned the mother, "or you will surely fall in." The boys did not always mind their mother, and one day they were playing beside the well and on the well when Chang fell in. Tiki Tiki Tembo, No Sarembo, Chari Bari Ruchi, Pip Pedi Pembo ran as fast as his little legs could carry him to his mother and said, "Most honorable mother, Chang has fallen into the well." "The water roars, little blossom. I cannot hear you," said the mother. Then Tiki Tiki Tembo, No Sarembo, Chari Bari Ruchi, Pip Pedi Pembo raised his voice and cried, "Oh, most honorable one, Chang has fallen into the well." "That troublesome boy," answered the mother. "Run and get the old man with the ladder to fish him out." Then Tiki Tiki Tembo, No Sarembo, Chari Bari Ruchi, Pip Pedi Pembo ran as fast as his little legs could carry him to the old man with the ladder and said, "Old man with the ladder, Chang has fallen into the well. Will you come and fish him out?" "So," said the old man with the ladder, "Chang has fallen into the well." And he ran as fast as his old legs could carry him. Step over step, step over step, he went into the well, picked up little Chang, and step over step, step over step, brought him out of the well. pumped the water out of him and pushed the air into him, and pumped the water out of him and pushed the air into him. And soon Chang was as good as ever. Now for several months, the boys did not go near the well. But after the festival of the 8th moon, they ran to the well to eat their rice cakes. They ate near the well. They played around the well. They walked on the well. And tiki tiki tembo, no sa rembo, chari bari ruchi, pip petty pembo fell into the well. Chang ran as fast as his little legs could carry him to his mother and said, "Oh, most honorable mother, tiki tiki tembo, no sarembo, charibari buchi, pip patty pembo has fallen into the well. The water roars, little one, I cannot hear you." So little Chang took a deep breath. "Oh, most honorable mother," he panted. "Tiki tiki tembo, no sarembo, charibari ruchi, pip patty pembo has fallen into the well." "Tiresome child, what are you trying to say?" said his mother. "Honorable mother, Charibari, Rambo, Tiki Tiki," he can't, "Pip Pip has fallen into the well." "Unfortunate son, surely the evil spirits have bewitched your tongue. Speak your brother's name with reverence." Poor little Chang was all out of breath from saying that great long name, and he didn't think he could say it one more time. But then he thought of his brother in the old well. Chang bowed his little head clear to the sand, took a deep breath, and slowly, very slowly said, "Most honorable mother, tiki tiki temmo, no sarembo, chari bari ruchi, pip petty pembo is at the bottom of the well." "Oh, not my first and honored son, heir of all I possess. Run quickly and tell the old man with the ladder that your brother has fallen into the well." So Chang ran as fast as his little legs could carry him to the old man with the ladder. Under a tree, the old man with the ladder sat, bowed and silent. Old man, shouted Chang, "come right away. Tiki tiki temno, no sarembo, chari bari bitchi, pip petty pembo has fallen into the stone well." But there was no answer. Puzzled, he waited. Then, with the very last bit of breath, he shouted, "Old man with the ladder, tiki tiki tembo, no sarembo, chari bari rucho, pip patty pembo is at the bottom of the well." "Miserable child, you disturbed my dream. I had floated into a purple mist and found my youth again. There were glittering gateways and jeweled blossoms. If I close my eyes, Perhaps I will again return. Poor little Chang was frightened. How could he say that great long name again? Please, old man with the ladder, please help my brother out of the cold well. So, said the old man with the ladder, your mother's precious pearl has fallen into the well. The old man with the ladder hurried as fast as his old legs could carry him. Step over step, step over step, he went into the well. And step over step, step over step, out of the well with the little boy in his arms. Then he pumped the water out of him and pushed the air into him, and pumped the water out of him and pushed the air into him. But little Tiki Tiki Tembo no sa rembo, Chari Bari Ruchi Pip Peri Pembo had been in the water for so long, all because of his long, great name, that the moon rose many times before he was quite the same again. And from that day to this, the Chinese have always thought it wise to give all their children little short names instead of great long ones. I love a story with a moral, don't you? Bye for now.